Uchenna, are you ready?
Yes, I am.
Good. Good evening, everyone. My name is Janet Fishman, and my company is called Hope Organizers. And as you've heard, if you've been on any of these calls before, I always say my motto is everything in life involves organizing. And if you're going to be moving, if you're going to be going to another city or even just across town, you have to organize everything that is involved in a move, right? You have to organize the change in utilities. You have to organize the finances of getting a new home. You have to coordinate with realtors. So there's a lot of organizing that goes on when you're going to move or sell a home. And one of the very important aspects of selling a home, or even just freshening up an existing home, is staging and redecorating. And tonight we are honored to have Uchenna Okwodu, who is an interior designer. And I'm going to give you a little bit of a bio about her, and then we will hear from her. So she is the managing partner of Showhomes, West Hills, California. She holds a master's degree in business administration and marketing. She is an alumni of the Wharton School, the University of Pennsylvania, executive education, and is a certified professional real estate stager. She's also a certified interior designer, a restyle and staging expert, and a certified update and color specialist. She left her banking career as a senior vice president to follow her passion in interior design, hence her franchise with Showhomes. Showhomes has more than 30 years of helping people sell over 30,000 homes valued at over $9 billion. Evolving with the real estate markets and the needs of sellers and buyers, Showhomes stays ahead of the curve in color and design trends. They provide a one-stop shop for preparing homes to sell, bringing greater value and higher offers and faster sales. Showhomes has recorded resounding success in staging vacant homes, home restyles, home updates, as well as home management staging. And I've actually had the pleasure of working with Uchenna on some homes where I've had to help the person declutter and clear out because they were going to be selling their homes, and she staged it. And so we're going to hear from her tonight. Welcome, Uchenna. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much, Janet.
And could you please define for the audience what is the meaning of staging and how does it differ from interior designing?
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure being here to see all of you around. And thank you so much, Janet, for having me as your guest this evening. When we talk about staging, we're talking about you want to make it look good. You want to put it in a way that once people see it, they will envisage what it wants to do. Staging is done after interior design has taken place. Interior design, let's say if you're building a project and you come into the interior of the house, that's where we choose the paint to use. That's where we choose the chandelier, where the chandelier will go to define focal points. But after those definition of focal points, then you bring in the staging. The staging involves bringing in the furniture. It's either you're doing an entirely, vacant staging where you have to bring in new furniture, or you're trying to change the furniture the person has from before. So a lot of people try to put the cat before the mouse. The staging comes after interior design has taken place. So staging is like you're bringing it to the stage. You want to make it look alive. You want to make it appreciable to anybody that looks at it.
Thank you. You've been a stager for a long time. Do you believe there is a relationship between organizing and staging? And if so, please describe that.
To say there is a relationship between organizing and staging is an understatement.
Mhm.
You cannot stage without organizing. I've had a couple of times where clients will call me in and said, look, we want to stage this property, and you find out that the whole house is in a mess. I tell them, I said, look, you need an organizer to put it together. Like you said, organization means getting those things that you think you don't need, you declutter, put them aside before you bring in somebody to stage. You cannot stage a property that when you have not organized your things in where you want them to be. The essence is that in one way or the other, you might find yourself losing some very important things that you don't want to. And you might also find yourself missing up on points that you don't want to throw away. So I always advise my clients that the key thing before staging is to declutter and organize. So organization and staging goes, hand in hand. It has to be done together. Yeah.
Thank you. What are the benefits of staging?
That's that's a key one. The benefits of staging are enormous. We usually stage, as a real estate stager, we usually stage, homes, vacant homes that are going to the market for sale. We want to help, the staging helps define the space of those vacant homes. If you come and you see a home bare, you might not be able to envision where things are going to be. But if the house is staged, you have the furniture, you have the sofa, you have everywhere, every piece and nook of the house well defined. Then you can envision yourself that this is where my things are going to be. This is how the home is going to look like when I come there. The key thing in every property is space. You need enough space. And what defines that space is the furniture you put in that place. And what defines that furniture is the staging method that you have in place. If a room is bare, you might not be able to appreciate the space in that room. But if you're able to put your furniture together, put them in concrete places where they're supposed to be, if you enter a home and the wall is bare, it's a different thing than when you have artwork on the wall of that home. And having artwork on the wall of that home defines the wall in the home. If you enter a home and there is a dining table, there is no chandelier above the dining table, it looks bare. If you enter a home and there is a chandelier and there is no dining table underneath, it looks bare, because the chandelier defines to you where your dining table is going to be. So what you do basically in staging is to define the space in that house and be able to bring it to fore so that people will look at it, they will appreciate it, and they will envision where things are going to be when they buy the market. Right now in the industry, real estate industry, most realtors will tell you they don't need to stage their property. The market is very high. They don't need stage. Even realtors that we have relationship with, they are like, before they call you, they have offers. But you find out that if you still make out time to stage those property, you're going to have higher offers on that property. Because it's a different thing if you're bringing the property bare to the market. So that's what happens in terms of staging.
I know I've been in some homes where they have too much furniture and it's very, very cluttered with furniture. So, excuse me, I guess the opposite could happen too, where instead of the furniture and the chandelier defining each other and helping them each pop, you can have too much furniture. And then that also throws off the design.
Yeah.
What are the different kinds of staging?
Yes. Let me go back to what you said before about when you have a lot of furniture in a home. That's where we try to come in and use your particular furniture to stage, that home. That's where we'll tell you in a consultation because even before the actual staging starts, there is a period of consultation. That's where we tell you at the point of consultation that if you don't mind, X is going to go out, Y is going to go out, J is going to go out. All these things, like I said before, is to define space and give you what you have to do. Then coming on the different kinds of staging, we have what we call vacant staging. Vacant staging is where the property is bare. You know, the people that lived in that property, they've taken everything out of that property. It's bare. Usually, most stagers like it when it is vacant staging, because in that case, you're bringing in your expertise, you're bringing in your furniture, you have like a free hand to put, square pegs in square hole and demonstrate, what you have to do. Another kind of staging is in-house staging. In that case, we are using your furniture. You have your furniture in place, but maybe those furniture are not up to date. We could work with you in that to replace those, maybe a little bit, bring in a little bit of our own accents and furniture just to make it, look very good and attractive to people that are going to come in. So it's either we do a vacant staging for you where there is nothing there, or we stage it for you using your own particular furniture in place.
And even art on the walls, people could have too much art on the walls or too many pictures hung on the walls. And it causes the clutter on the wall, then causes the people that are viewing the home not even to be able to see the most beautiful picture on the wall. Yes. So yeah, there can be clutter there too with too much artwork.
Those are things that are taken care of at the point of consultation. And you tell the client and say, softly, you discuss with the client and say, most of these things on the wall, they have to go. And even the placement of the art on the wall could also be an eyesore to prospective buyers that are coming in. So you need to make sure that a certain, particular inches goes with the arts you have on the wall and where you want to place it.
What happens to a client's furniture then if you're not using it for staging?
If we're not using a client's furniture for staging, you recall the job I did with you in Beverly Hills? Yeah, the furniture that we did not use for staging was taken down to the basement. The essence is that you have to keep it out of view for people that are coming in to, see the property. So the client decides after that what they want to do with the furniture. Is either they send it to the Salvation Army, or they do a yard sale or so. But that furniture that's not going to be used in that house has to be a way so that you give space for people that are coming into view. So usually I advise them to, keep it in the garage or bring a pod outside and put it inside it.
So if someone might get a pod, like you said, and put it on their driveway and then put the excess furniture in there. Okay. Tell us how the staging process or staging timeline works. You've mentioned that there's a consultation. So can you kind of run us through a typical timeline?
Well, what typically happens, it depends on the individual, but I'll use my own specific timeline for you. What happens is once the contract is signed, you go in for, or prior to signing the contract, you go in for a consultation. Consultation gives you an idea of the property. You look at it, you discuss. I discuss with my client, my prospective client, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to do. This is the type of staging. It might be mid-century chairs that I'm going to bring. This is what is going to be here. Are we staging the living room? Are we staging the dining room? Are we staging how many rooms? Are we staging a room as an office? We found ourselves doing that a lot, because of the pandemic, and a lot of people were working out of homes. So they needed rooms in their homes to be offices. So we found out that instead of staging 3 rooms, we stage like a room and then use the other room, stage it as an office. So that gives you the impression that you can actually walk out and go to your office and do a job. So after the consultation, we agree. That's the way I work. I agree on pricing with my clients, and the contract is, I go back, I do the proposal, the contract is executed. And I tell you that I need 2 to 3 days to do this, to complete on the staging. 2 to 3 days includes moving items onto site, work on site, and completion on site. And usually, while we are on site, we don't encourage people to come in. This was even prior to COVID, but when COVID came in, it became mandatory because you didn't want anybody to come in when you're working. So whilst we are done within that 2 to 3 days, depending on the extent of the project that is being done, then we open it up and the client comes in to take to see what we have done. And it's usually for us, it's a wow moment because you're like, is this my house? Is this where I used to be? And you're beginning to enjoy what you see. Yeah.
That's what you see on some of these television shows when they remodel a home and then they furnish it and the person walks in, the owner walks in, it's like, wow, I didn't believe that's my house, like a facelift for the house. Do you stage outside too? Do you do the outside?
Yes, like the summer is coming, we do a lot of patio staging during the summer period. But then we also, talk to them. Maybe a client might want you to do the curb way when you're coming in. So you find out and do that. But we stage outside too. Usually the patio by the swimming pool, we do a lot of staging on that side. Yeah.
And then do you take it away then, or can they purchase the furniture that you've staged with?
Well, that's a very good question. I remember sometime after we did the Beverly Hills job together, I remember there was a property we staged in LA here, downtown LA. And to our surprise, the people that bought the property bought the whole furniture.
Mm.
Yes. I usually don't like selling my furniture because it takes me time, to get it. I try to get things that are really, really good. But it came at a very attractive and they wanted it, so they took it. And I think there was a staging we did at Studio City too. They bought some of the furniture, not all the furniture. But the one we did in downtown, they bought every piece of furniture we used in that home. So at times people come in and, they buy it. But then there are times that you have controversy. The house is staged and maybe there's a miscommunication between the realtor and the buyers, or the seller's agent and the buyer's agent, where the seller's agent has refused to tell the seller's agent that, look, most of this furniture are staged. So when the buyer agent comes and they said, okay, I'm buying it as it is. So that means whatever they are putting on the price includes the furniture. But it's usually, that brings out a lot of controversy because you have not, mandated and made it clear that the furniture is for staging. So we always advise the agents that let them know that, it's staged. So if they want it, then the price of the furniture is completely different from the other ones.
Is that typical that you tell the agents that this is the price for the furniture and it will need to be added to the contract?
No, but
that doesn't happen too often.
I had a very unusual experience sometime last year where we staged a property. And after we staged the property, the buyers came and said they wanted to buy the property the way it is. There was a kind of miscommunication between the agents, the seller's agent and the buyer's agent, and the buyer insisted that what they have quoted, the price that they've quoted includes the furniture. So the agent had to come to me to give him the price of the furniture. I gave him the price of the furniture. It was messy because I feel so much for the agent. At the end, he had to bear a lot of costs on it. So I always advise them to just state that, look, this is staged. If you want the furniture, it's a different contract altogether. If the house is being sold for X amount, it's just the house that is being sold for X amount, not the furniture. If you want the furniture, it's a different thing altogether, so that the agent does not end up bearing the costs.
That's a very good lesson that we all should hear, because that happens, I'm sure, where buyers come in and they want to buy it as is.
Yes, that's what happens.
Can you tell us about some other challenging situations where the realtor wanted the house staged, but the client had too much furniture, and how did you handle this?
Where the realtor wanted the house staged,
but the client had like too much of their own furniture in there and wasn't really agreeable about staging.
Well, there are two scenarios that usually happens. One, the homeowners most times don't want to stage because they don't want to pay, for the staging. So when we talk to our realtor friends and they come to us, he said, look, we can help you talk to the homeowner and let him know the advantage in terms of funding if he decides to stage this property. And usually after you talk to the homeowner, he will agree, and you go ahead and go on with the staging. But when you enter a house and the client has a lot of furniture, and the realtor will always ask the professional to tell the client that, look, the piece of furniture you have here is so much, we have to declutter, we have to take some of them out. In most cases, they will tell you, no, they're not going to do it. For me, if I give you that kind of suggestion and you're not going to do it, I'm sorry, I will not do the job, because I rather that the project comes out very well than you're just doing it and doing it haphazardly. That's the essence of the consultation. Because at the consultation, that's when we agree that both of us, our minds meet, we have the same objective. Like me, my staging is house specific. You have people call you on the phone and said, Uchenna, I want to stage a 3-bedroom. How much is it going to cost? I don't give price like that, and my team members. That's why we insist on seeing the property, because whatever we're going to stage is home specific. So if the furniture is too bad and it's not going to look good in the picture, it's not going to then, and you said you're not going to move the furniture, I don't think I want to be part of that.
And you will come in and design and get furniture for people, even if they're not selling their home, right? That's a big part of your profession too, about your company, right? You'll just come in and if someone says, I need to freshen up this room, I want a new look.
Yes.
You do a lot of that too, right?
We do a lot of that. We come in and we redesign, and we do it. And even when people buy a home, you find some realtors, giving the new buyers a kind of, giving them a kind of, maybe a present, and they'll ask, gifts, and they'll ask us to get some piece of furniture for the new home. So we also help you set up the new home even after the place is bought. Yeah.
With the current trend in the industry where the houses are flying off the market and people are having bidding wars, is staging really necessary during this climate, or is staging more popular when the market is slower?
That's a very key question, Janet. You see, it actually depends. When the market is slower, staging is more popular. Then we stage homes, and your inventory is in the client's place for like 2 months, 3 months before you probably go and destage. But right now, I staged a property on the 28th of March, and I'm told that I have to destage next week because they're already in escrow and the property is sold. So
when did you do the staging? On February 20th?
On the 28th of February. February was the day.
And usually the furniture is there for about a month. Is that right?
Yes, a month to 60 days. But I'm told that I have to destage next week.
Which is just like, well, next week would be like the 28th. Yeah, like a month. Yeah. So it goes fast.
Yes, because the property is already sold and it's no more there in the market.
So do you wait to remove the furniture until the escrow closes, just in case if the escrow were to fall through and not sell? Do you wait, or you will take it out, and if the escrow falls through, they'd have to pay again to restage it?
No, definitely we wait. The realtor will prefer it. We'll wait until the escrow is through before we can do anything. Yes, that's what happens. Yeah.
In your opinion, must staging be done for every property for sale, or is there a recommended price range when it is most beneficial?
I don't think it should be done for, it depends on who is, but for every home that is going above 700, I think it should be staged.
Okay.
Yeah, so that you get at least the maximum in terms of funds on that property. Yeah.
And what about commercial business properties? Do you stage those as well as residential?
Well, I do 80% of residential property.
Okay.
And I can say I do like 10% of short-term rentals, Airbnb,
Oh,
short-term rentals. But I have never really staged an office, but I've had a client who has an office and he wanted me to come in and set up the office for them. So I did that, like, interior design, find out where the chairs are going to be and where everything is going to be. But I've never had anybody ask me to come and stage a commercial property.
when I was a little girl, my mom used to love to go look at open homes, like, a new, the new builds, like a whole community, because we used to enjoy how do they decorated, the homes. And I didn't know what staging was at that time. I just thought, wow, the people that, live here have really nice homes, really nice furniture. I didn't know that it was something called staging.
Yeah.
Do you have any other interesting stories or challenges of houses that you can share with us?
Yes, there are a couple of them. There are some clients you meet in the market that are very extremely difficult. And you find out that even after the initial discussion you've had and you're set up, you're ready, you've done the staging, and they still come back and still find issues and excuses. So my advice is that is where your expertise as a customer service person comes in. You must never forget that the customer is always right. So you try not to get annoyed with the customer. Rather, what you do is to pacify them. I've had a place where you stage and you come in and the client says, no, I don't want this on the wall. You take it out. You go and bring another one. You don't just walk out. You take it out and you go and bring another one that thinks suits it. So as much as possible, you also try to to accommodate the clients irrespective of the behavior that they put up in time. Yes.
Very good. Well, we're going to open it up to questions now. And we have one question in the chat. How much of an increase in sale price can people see when staging versus not staging? Are there any averages you share with clients?
Definitely, there's a lot of increase, and I have to be direct. Janet, there's a house I staged with you in Beverly Hills. That particular property sold $100,000 above asking price, just because of what the two of us did. You knew what that property looked like when we came in. You knew what that property looked like. When I went there the first day for consultation, I told them that, look, you need a Janet here. And you know what it looked like when I left out. There is no, the average sales you can make, the least you can make, I say like $20,000 above asking price in a stage property and not a stage property. I keep telling people, if a property is not staged, is it going to sell? Definitely it will sell. But the fact remains that if the property is staged, you're going to make a lot more in terms of top-notch dollars. And that's what we keep preaching to realtors going forward.
Because it makes it look so pretty
and inviting. And again, the millennials that are buying homes now, they don't have time to go for open houses. Most of them go first to check online. And for them to check online, they will need to check online to be able to buy whatever it is they're going to buy. And it's the pictures they see online is what will attract them to want to see the property.
Oh yeah, many times when I've helped people, when they're looking for a house and I've helped them and we see pictures with rooms that are filled with clutter, you just go past them. You don't even want to look at those homes. You don't want to even look at those photos on the different websites online because it's ugly. But then when you see a beautiful home, you enjoy going through the pictures and looking at the pictures. So that definitely increases the desire to want to now go and tour the home in person.
Yes.
Are there any other questions for Uchenna that you can come off of mute if you'd like and ask her any question you want to ask her? if any of you are decorating your homes right now, remodeling your homes, maybe you have a question about, does a dining table look better vertical in the room or horizontal in the room? Anybody have questions?
What color schemes would you say are, or just general trends for design? Is like white and black, obviously modern is sort of the open feel with the whites and whatnot, but are there any like major trends that you see right now?
Yeah, Jordan, the major trends that are going on now is beige inside the house. And then most people use white on the couch and where else depending on what you're furnishing with. But inside the house is mostly beige.
And you are a color specialist. How do you know what the colors are? Like, do you ask the people what their favorite colors are? Do you consult a feng shui expert? Do you do it based on which direction the house is and the sun coming in and shining on the furniture? How do you know what the right colors are?
That's a very good question. I have a color chart that I go with me when I'm going to a client's house. And what determines mostly the perfect color to use in that house is the positioning of the house and where the sun comes in from. And when you come inside the living room, what is that subtle color that you think that will bring a kind of cool dream feeling inside the room? You look at it. You cannot come into a living room and see it painted orange. That's shouting and that's offish. So you have to look for that color that is warm, cool, and acceptable. And I have a chart I always present to my clients, and we look at it and sit down and choose which one that we agree and perfect. But if you paint inside your house beige most times, and you have like some white trimmings, you never go wrong and it never goes out of style. Yeah.
It's very neutral colors. And what are some other neutral colors? Like gray is a very neutral color, or and it goes with everything, or a very light yellow goes. Yeah. What about Uchenna? Have you ever consulted by Zoom, virtual consulting for people that are out of the country or out of the state or out of the city?
Yeah, well, I have a friend of mine who moved to Dallas, and she wanted me to help her do up her house. And that was at the peak of the pandemic, like mid-2020. So we did most of the consultations via Zoom. Mm-hmm. The initial one, we go from room to room, seeing where things are, told her where to get her furniture, helped her order the furniture, and when she got it, told her where to place things and so on. So most of the consultation we did was via Zoom in her property.
So would you have somebody measure the room? They would send you the measurements and you would like draw it, and then you'd be able to tell them, okay, well, this size couch would look best on this wall, or don't buy a couch that's longer than this because of the size of the wall.
So do we have what? Sorry, what did you say, Janet?
If you were helping somebody remotely, like virtually by Zoom, would you have them measure the walls and tell you where the windows were? And then they would send you that information and you would like draw it on paper, or you have a special program maybe that you use. And then you would say, okay, for that wall, let's put the couch there, but don't buy a couch that's more than this length. Otherwise it's going to overshadow the wall. Or don't buy a mirror or an art piece bigger than this, because it'll take over the wall. So do you have them start off with some measurements?
Definitely, you have to tell them specifically. They'll give you the measurements, and the measurement determines the couch size that's going to be on that particular place. And you tell them that this is the couch size that is likely going to fit in here. And then we do something else that we call virtual staging. That one came up during the pandemic. So we do a virtual staging and actually do a virtual staging of that property, telling you exactly where things are going to be placed. and you will use that as a guide in placing the furniture as you are. But definitely you must take measurement. If you recall what I told you initially, the essence of the consultation is also to take measurements, because the measurements enables me to go back into my warehouse, and with stage force, I'm able to say that, okay, this couch is going to go in here. This couch is going to go in here. Maybe I'm going to use just a love seat and 2 singles in a particular place. So measurement is key in what we do.
So you have a computer program then that will show the different, from the different directions, so that people can get an idea of what the different directions would look like.
Yes, we do a virtual staging and we send it to you. That's usually when people are not within LA. But within LA, we go to the place and discuss with you on what's going to be there before we set out.
So someone has asked another question in the Zoom, in the chat. Do you have any pictures of staged homes on your website or Instagram that can be viewed for design or style inspiration? So can you put in your website in the chat for people? And also you can tell us orally too, so just in case viewers, when they look at the recording, they can't see the chat. And if you have any other websites that you like, I know sometimes I'll go to a client and they'll say like, I need this storage piece, or I have a closet and I want to put some organizing things in there. You know, what's best to organize this, or what's best to organize that. So I'll go onto Pinterest and then I'll send them some pictures. Like I was helping somebody with a pantry closet, but they wanted a pantry where it spinned, it was a small pantry, and they wanted a way of expanding the pantry. And I showed them that there's these kind of pantries where you can open the door, and each panel of the door also had shelf. And so they basically, instead of having just one little panel inside the pantry, now they had that plus the shelves on the door. And it was really cute, you know, like it opened like a barn door. So do you have any websites that you favor for people that want to get some inspiration?
Usually I ask people to check websites that are closer to, but I don't have particular websites where I ask people to go for, you know, if they want things that they can pack up in their houses or packs of things.
What is your website?
That's what I'm trying to put on.
Oh, okay.
I've put on my Instagram. Yeah.
Okay, so in Instagram, it's Showhomes CA. So SHOWHOMESCA, or her website is www.showhomes.com/west, then a dash hills. So www.showhomes.com/WEST-HILLS. So those are some places that people can look and see some of Uchenna's work. And she also has a weekly newsletter that if you want to get her emails each week, they come out on Fridays. Why don't you put in your email, and then they can email you and receive. She gives tips about staging and designing, and she also puts pictures of her different jobs that she had that week. So do you want to type in your email, Uchenna?
While she's doing that, can I make a couple of quick comments?
Yes.
I sit at open house as a loan officer, and it's amazing how many times I see people come in and go, now what's that area for? What's that area for? How do you, it happens all the time. So staging is I think is important. And every show I watch, and I watch a lot of those flipping shows, they stage them every time. I mean, I think it makes a huge difference. You got to give people a map, because a lot of times they just don't really understand how the house works. So I think
especially older homes. If you remember growing up in an older home, they had this little space for the telephone. Remember those? And you could have a chair there. And I see a lot of young people like, what is this little space here? And I'll laugh. I go, well, that's where we used to have the phones before there were cell phones. There was just a landline and you had the phone. So yes, I was in the East Coast and I was touring some homes, and there was like this little door in the kitchen. It's a small little door, and I opened it and like, what is this? And the realtor said, oh, this is a historical home. It's from like the 1700s. And that's the way they used to like put certain things down to the basement. So yes, by staging, the designer can turn that into a very interesting space and even emphasize the historical nature of it by putting an old-fashioned phone there or something. So Uchenna's email is uokwdu@showhomes.com. So if you'd like to be on her mailing list, you can contact her. Are there any other questions?
I have a question about the outside color of a home. I read once that yellow homes sell faster because they remind people of sunshine. Is there any truth to that? And does the outside color matter?
Yes, the outside color does matter because it's the first thing they see when they come. But if we're talking of like yellow, bright yellow, I think it could be a bit offish. So it's going to be quite loud and offish, especially, at the summer period. So I always advise my customers to use colors that are not so loud outside the house. On the tale that yellow houses sell faster, I think this is one of those tales that, our mothers used to tell us. I don't think the sale of a house to a large extent depends on the paint color that you use outside. Yeah.
And in many of that's a good question, because in many of the HOA neighborhoods here in California, they actually prohibit you from painting your home
A different color.
a different color, right? They only have certain colors and usually they're some kind of shade of a beige. So yeah, that is a very good question. Well, next month we have Stuart Hollins, who just mentioned that comment. He's going to be talking about how to get organized when you want to refinance your house or when you want to buy a house, and what you need to do to get organized to refinance, all the paperwork you need to get together, or to purchase a home and to get a home mortgage loan. So we look forward to seeing you next month. Thank you all for being here. And thank you, Uchenna, for your very interesting presentation.
Thank you so much. And thank you, everybody. It was nice seeing all of you, and have a good one.
And the recording of this